we took up the license this year, and we've done two of them already, one in Gurgaon and one in Oakland, and this is the first time that we are doing this here at our Noida hub. So the idea here is to get entrepreneurs like these young gentlemen and young pretty lady with us to talk about their entrepreneurial journey, about the fuck-ups that they made all throughout that. Now that fuck-up could be a major startup as well, and that fuck-up could be a major fuck-up that basically almost shut down the startup as well, right? And the primary idea is to celebrate our failures and how we overcame them, and that's why we also now have a small concept called 91 fuck-ups, so that all of us can be a part of this whole idea of celebrating fuck-ups as well, right? And yeah, that's that. Click. Who are we? 91 Springboard. So we're a co-working space. These three words describe as the best: co-work, network, and grow. So this is not just a regular, co-working space. The idea is to get the community going, get everyone connected, get everyone to network, get everyone to do business, and then grow together, right? So just to give you an example, say you're a marketing agency and you set up a co-working space, and of course you're looking for clients. Then we've got three e-commerce companies sitting out of that space as well, and they're looking for digital marketers. So if you actually make conversation and talk to them, you might just end up doing business with them. Does that happen with us in our spaces? Yes, a lot. And not just with digital marketers, but people from all different fields, from professionals to freelancers to okay, mic ko kaise? Aise? Okay. Guys, can you hear me now? Are we good now? All right. So, so that's what the idea here is for 91 Springboard. And yeah, that's that. Anand is there. He's the founder. Anand, say hi. Hi. So you can catch him later if you have any questions, or any one of us, one of our monkeys of Anand, that as well. So getting with the thing on. So first we have Sunando. Sunando is the founder of Indicus, and he'll be coming in first with his presentation. So please, Sunando, come in. Can we have a round of applause? Right. Yeah, come in. Oh, yeah. Sure. No, so he'll help you out with that. You just give him some Q-tips and that's it. Oh, okay, all right. So Sunanda needs to set up his clicker as well. But yeah, Sunanda, thank you so much for coming in, and Suchita and Bharat as well. It takes a lot of courage to come in, talk about your failures, and say how you're okay in them. So yes, so that we all can learn, so that we've all had our failures, we've all had our downers. So yeah, that. So we're ready? Yeah? I think we are. Guess we're not. Okay. Filler time. So, who's here for the first time? Okay, that's a lot of hands. All right, nice. Do you like the hub? Do you like the place? I don't know. All right. So, yeah, that's that. Okay, feedback time later. But in terms of the food and everything, we have Abhishek with some fresh brewed coffee. We have Teapot serving nice qualities. We have Fateh Chand Ki Kachori from Nai Sadak, which is like a classic signature place for kachoris. So you guys can grab out of those as well. And additionally, we also have, no, I think that's it. That's all we have. And yeah, are we ready now? Because I'm running out of things to talk about. Sorted. Okay. Fuck it. Sorted. Go for it.
Okay. Can you hear me now at the back? Great. So, good evening, everyone, on this chilly, polluted evening in Delhi. Nice haze all around us. So, I'm going to talk about my monumental fuck-ups and my journey as a bootstrapping entrepreneur. That's a badge of honor I wear, having bootstrapped for the last 3.5 years, successfully till now. I'll qualify that statement, but let's see what the future holds. So I'll start with a quick introduction. Let's move on. So I'm a Delhi ka Londa, born and brought up here all my life, so it's in my blood. Although I'm Bengali, but I love my chole bhature as much as my rasgulla, so it's all throughout. Before starting Indicus, I worked for hey, so I worked for 15 years across 7 companies. All my journey has been in the tech sector, working with various companies in the tech, startups, large companies, global conglomerates, done it all. And then, because of black background, my logo has gone hidden. I started Indicus. That IQU say it has Indicus in between written. So that's one fuck up you have done today. So Indicus started in 2013. We started out as a consulting services company, and over time we've evolved now to being having our own software as well as running a very strong services business on top of that. I'll tell you more about it later. So what we do, we're essentially into cloud computing. Sounds like a big term, so I'll simplify it, break it down for you. So we have 2 kinds of customers, large enterprises or big startups like IBEBO, Oxygen, Merit Nation. So these guys have trouble running their infrastructure either on their own, their websites, the basic infrastructure on which their application or sites run, or it's very expensive to run them on Amazon and Azure. So we come in and we give them a very interesting solution where we give them a completely managed environment on which they can run it at a very, very high uptime at a much lower cost than they'll pay anybody else. So that's a simple solution which we do. Then our biggest segment, that's about 30% of our business. 70% of our business is actually working with large telecom companies and service providers, where we enable them to compete with people like Amazon and Azure in their respective markets. So in India, we work with Airtel. In Sri Lanka, we work with Sri Lanka Telecom, couple of smaller providers in Nepal. We're now going into Middle East. We have signed up a customer in Oman. So we have our own software, which sits as a cloud marketplace, if you may want to call it, and enables them to sell a very wide range of digital services to their enterprise customers, to their SMB customers using our platform. And the entire environment is managed by us, so it's a software cum services business which we are in. And this is something we started about a year back. Okay, so now coming to the fuck-ups. The first thing is co-founders, and how many people here honestly have had problem with co-founders? Raise your hand. Okay, quite a few. So did I. So we are 3 of us who started the company in 2013. 2 of us went back very long. We knew each other since 2000. We had worked in 2 companies together, pretty deep relationship. The third guy I had just met about a year back, seemed a nice guy. He is a nice guy, I won't say that. But I didn't date him enough to really understand whether I should have partnered with him for that. And what we realized that, these are 4 or 5 areas which are very important for co-founders to get along, which is ability, that all of you bring the same potential on the table, be it in different areas. It's very important to bring the same ability to the table. Aspirations, you should have very similar aspirations about the business and about where you want to personally be over a certain period of time. The kind of habits you have, what time do you want to get to work, how do you handle crisis situations, how do you handle your team, these kind of things should be similar, and the kind of emotions you bring to the workplace. And of course, most importantly, integrity. All this comes together, integrity. And integrity is not just about being honest about the way you approach your work, approach your clients, but in all, generally being honest about the purpose with which you're doing your startup. These are areas where we found a huge disconnect across all these. And the only way I think anybody can come around this is either you know the person for a very long time, professionally, having worked with them, not friends, essentially, or you date the person over a period of time, meet him, ask him a lot of questions, ensure that he's asking you the right questions. That's also important. And then only make somebody a co-founder. A poor co-founder can really stress you out. Half of last year, we lost a lot of business, we lost a lot of productivity because we were going through a major co-founder conflict when we were trying to get him to exit the company. That's water under the bridge for us now. We managed it sometime in October last year. And trust me, our company has taken totally different trajectory, touch wood, since then. We're far more focused, we're far more honest with what we want to do, and we're going in the right direction now. Yeah, so this was a big fuck up which happened with us. So I'll tell you what happened. When we started off, we thought we'll do some trading business, so we registered for sales tax. And without putting much effort behind the compliance norms and all, we thought you have to file returns when you sell something. If you're not selling something, you don't have to declare anything. It's simple, right? Somebody who doesn't understand tax, doesn't understand finance, you should pay tax when you make money. If you're not making money, you shouldn't pay tax. Unfortunately, that's not how the law works in this land. If you have a tax registration and if you're not selling anything, you still have to file a return to the government every quarter, regardless of what is your business shape in. You have to go through that whole compliance process. So I firmly believe this. I wrote an article also some time back that the government of India thinks every company is a thief, and it's your duty to prove them wrong. That's the general approach. The kind of notices I get for service tax compliance, for sales tax compliance, now we are 100% compliant on all our government activities. But even then, the language these people use on these notices, you should sometime read them. You really feel horrible sometimes. So we didn't file our return for a year, and suddenly we get this notice of 3.5 lakh. And this was a time when we were making 50 lakhs revenue in a year. We get a notice that you have to pay 3.5 lakh penalty for not cheating the government of any money. You didn't owe any money to the government. You just forgot filing returns for 4 quarters. That hit us very, very hard at that time. We had to take out money which we were planning to hire people and had to pay that tax. We got some rebate on that, about 50,000 rupees, ended up paying 2 lakhs. It was a very tough time of our business, and it hit us really, really hard. Since then, we have ensured that our compliance is first. Even from a cost perspective, we put our taxes ahead of our salaries. It doesn't sound great, but we do that. And anybody who's running a growing enterprise, you should ensure you're doing that. Because if these guys come after you, you're truly fucked. Trust me on this. Moving on. Yes, so first 2 years of our company, we were juggling too many balls in the air. We would not say no to any customer. We would just do anything that would come our way as long as it generally was within our area of somewhat competence. And that really started screwing things up. Orders were coming in easily, but delivery, making the customer happy, ensuring that we do a quality work was really not happening. And one of the reasons, so this is connected to my co-founder conflict, because I wanted to say no, but my co-founder wanted to say yes to almost everything. Since the time he moved out, we started saying no to a lot of opportunities, started focusing on our core competencies. This is very important. This is one of the most abused management jargons, I think, but it's one of the most important management jargons in the context of a startup. A startup always has great talent, but is always short on resources. So when you have great talent, it's very easy to spread yourself thin, but you have to remember that you're short on resources, be it financial, be it people. So you really, really have to focus on your core competencies, go deep in that and establish your credentials in that. If you start spreading yourself thin, very soon you'll get screwed either by your customers or by the way your business will build up operationally. So do focus on your core competencies. And this is something I'm working on still. I think over the last 4 years, my health has deteriorated. Both me and my co-founder, I have put on at least 10 to 12 kgs. Not that I was thin then, but it's not going the right direction. And I've developed sleep apnea, which is a problem while sleeping, you don't get good sleep. So one of my priorities for the next 6 months is to set that right, both me and my co-founder, because poor health not only impacts you personally, it impacts your productivity, your focus, your ability to get things done on a daily basis. So don't put your startup ahead of your health. Focus on your health a lot. This sounds silly at some level maybe, but do that because how many successful entrepreneurs do you know who are not fit? I don't know many. So this is something very, very critical. It's something very, very personal, I feel. And this was also shared. How many of you read the article by Alok Bajpai? It came on INC 42 last week. It was published on Medium about, I think, 5 months back. Go and read it. Google Alok Bajpai Ixigo on Medium. And he's written this thing that 10 things I wish somebody had told me about running a startup. And he had very, very revealing experiences about how things that you can do wrong very easily. And as Anand says, I love giving gyan, so I'll end it with some gyan. So do your own fuck-ups, because fuck-ups are a great learning experience. Don't think if something goes wrong, all is lost. It is never lost. It is never lost. But do ensure you take your learnings out of it and don't repeat your fuck-ups. That's important. This is coming from my bootstrap bias. Focus on business, not on funding. If you have a solid business model, don't waste time running out of funding. Funding will come after you. I've spent 2 quarters going after funding and my business has suffered, and every time I realized I'm better off going after focusing on my business rather than funding. But that doesn't mean, yes, if I had raised money now, my speed of growth might have been better, but I really don't know because I haven't done. But from a bootstrapping perspective, if your business model is sound, you have customers, focus on your organic growth rather than chasing funding for inorganic growth. Within that, focus on cash rather than revenues. A lot of people get swayed by revenues. Revenues is not money in your pocket. Cash is money in your pocket. Track your cash flows on a daily basis. You can track your revenues on a monthly basis. Track your cash flows on a daily basis, so that you really know when you're going to be out of cash and you can take corrective actions. A lot of people miss this and they end up in a really, really bad position. You get your salaries delayed and a lot of the stuff happening. Get used to the angst. Running a startup is one of the toughest things you can do. I've been a professional for 15 years. Now I'm doing a startup for 4 years. It's really, really tough. It's thankless. It's lonely. You have to get used to the angst of running a startup. It's always going to be there, even when you scale up, even when you're successful. There are going to be different forms of angst, but it's going to become a part of you. Get used to it, because a lot of people, within a couple of years, they start thinking, okay, this is not worth it. It's really worth it because you're really creating something of value for yourselves and your team. So don't get swayed or disillusioned easily. And don't forget your family. I did a mistake. I have cute 2 daughters, twin daughters, 6-year-old. For the first couple of years, I wasn't giving them enough time, and I suddenly saw them growing up and missing my time with them. So be it your boyfriend, your husband, your wife, do take out time for them. Keep your weekends free as much as you want, because they are there for you, but you also need to be there for them, right? That's it. And today is a whole new day to fuck up. Thank you. Thanks for your time. Any questions? I would love to answer that. Okay. Thank you.
Guys, if you have any questions for Surendra, raise your hand. Lakshita is there to get right to you. Anyone? Any questions? Wow, you were crisp and you were clear. All right then. Thanks for sharing. We have one question. Yes. We have questions. Not so crisp after all.
So my boss used to say, if there are no questions, either everybody got you or nobody got you.
My boss says the same. It's fine. Actually, I just want to know what's about your...
I can't hear you, sorry.
Actually, we want to know about your co-founder story, like more on. And if you have right now co-founder, how you find it and how
Okay, so the biggest fuck up I actually did when I started my company, I didn't have a co-founder agreement. It was all trust basis, it was on a mail, and that's what really screwed me. When you don't have a co-founder agreement, no law can save you. Even you can't even send a legal notice because there's nothing you've done. What happened really was, we wanted to take the business in certain direction, me and my CTO, and the third person wanted to take it in a different direction. And one point we asked him to exit. Actually, I asked him to exit, and my CTO came behind me. So what happened is 3 years into the business, or 2.5 years into the business, we actually sat down and saw who was contributing what to the business, and we realized that this person who was holding 50% equity in the business was not contributing more than 5%, and that's on the higher side. He would come to office at 1 o'clock, leave at 5 o'clock. The way he would handle the team would be very different. So he was not fitting into the culture, he was not contributing. So many, all the 5 things which I actually talked about, they all applied to him. So we actually lingered on with that for some time. You think that these things will disappear, but they really don't disappear. And they started getting bigger actually. And so we had to take the hard call. And we actually, the negotiations went on for 2 months, and we were on the verge of actually exiting, shutting down the company and starting fresh altogether. But thankfully good sense prevailed on him. We actually gave him a Creta car, which he had bought on company name. And we paid that off and gave it to him. That's what it cost us. So I don't like sitting in Cretas because of that. And it was a tough period. Again, that would cost us about 14 lakh rupees at that point of time, cash. And again, that slowed down our growth by about 6 months. So the tax thing and this thing has pushed us back about 9 to 12 months, I think, given where we were. So fuck-ups really costed us, these 2 things.
Thank you, Sunandu. We have another question.
Yeah.
Just continuing from that point. So the MOU and the articles of association. This is a silly question, but how is it different from the co-founder agreement?
It's a brilliant question, because a lot of people think everything is covered in MOA. It is not. MOA, now I'm a legal expert on this, trust me on this. MOA just defines the rights of the board or the shareholders in general. It doesn't differentiate between the rights of one co-founder vis-a-vis the other and what you can do with each other. A co-founders agreement essentially defines the roles, responsibilities and rights of all co-founders who start the company. Who's responsible for what happens if something happens to somebody, if there's a share sale, what happens, many aspects. There are almost 20 aspects which are covered in a co-founders agreement. It's very different from a MOA. Don't just rely on the MOA. Insist on having a co-founder agreement. If your co-founder is not willing to do it, don't start the company. It will come back to bite you. I think Anand is sitting here, he can quote I think 20 examples easily about people who haven't had a co-founder agreement and they went through real shit because of that.
Where can I access that co-founder agreement? Because it's for the first time I have heard that term.
Sorry, can you say that
For the
again?
first time I have heard this term, co-founder agreement. So
You've heard it for the first time?
yes, sure.
Okay. So don't use a template, speak to a lawyer. It's not getting very expensive to get it done. There are fairly cheap startup lawyers who do it and they do a good job because it's fairly templatized, but it does need some customization company to company. So don't use a template for it. We used a company called Click Lawyer. It's run by a guy called Ramanuj. I don't know if any of you know him. Very decent guys, do a very fast and very quick job. So they are our laws on record.
Yeah, I just want to know is what kind of measures did you take that regarding the tax compliances? Because most of the time we feel like the CAs also don't know much.
No. Have you used Sambhu Malhotra? He knows everything.
He might be very costly out of our range.
He's the starter movers.
Okay.
We let our starter movers.
The normal CAs which are sitting in Lakshmi Nagar or these places like whom we
don't use
get
him.
to.
Sambhav is very good. He was with starter movers.
Okay.
We are using him for the last 3 years, and since the time he has come on board, things have really become great for
Especially
us.
we see like they seems to be illiterate regarding the software business especially. They don't know what is the
No,
website, what is the
you're
domain,
in a
what is the
software business, speak to Sambhav. Take my experience.
What's the name you told? Sorry.
Sambhav. Speak to Anand, he'll give you the contacts.
Sambhav.
Sambhav is actually a part of the 91springboard team now, so I'm not sure if he's doing a freelance thing, but I'll talk to him. But yeah, I'll get what you say. No, he's no longer starting with us? I
I just got a bill for starting this. Okay. Okay. That's nice. So, never mind that for free because he's part of 91 Springboard. Yeah. Hi. I'm not Saurabh. My name is Shanandu.
No, my name is Saurabh.
Oh, Saurabh. Okay.
So, sir, I want to ask you that what fuck-ups you face in funding, to get the funding?
I have not raised any funding.
Not raised.
No. I just said bootstrapping.
Okay. But you tried, no?
Right, okay.
Share your experience.
Right. So, we're in a very niche business. Other investors call it business management, which is fair. You know, not everybody is a techie. So, if you see my first deck, 99% of people sitting here won't get what we do. If you see my latest deck, 50% people will get what we're doing. So, we'll also learn. It has been a learning process for us. The challenge with funding, especially with this year, the challenge with funding in this year has been all the fuck-ups which have happened in the past years has impacted funding this year. People are doubly cautious. We actually came very close to what do you call that? Offer letter. Term sheet, sorry. See, this is what happened when you don't raise money. So we came very close to a term sheet. Then we realized the guy who was giving us a term sheet, his help is like not to release money to them. So the same is that bad. VCs are talking to entrepreneurs, but they don't have money in bank. They're also, rolling it forward. I don't know how. But I think still there is money available for solid ideas. No longer for flaky stuff. If you start your pitch, I want to solve this problem, nobody's going to give you money, I think. If you start your pitch, this is how this is going to make money in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. I think that's viable these days. That's the general feel which I've got. And I'm again going to be raising money next quarter, so let's see what happens. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandu, for sharing your story with us. Right? Okay, mic like this. All right. So, can we have a waiter here? Folks are freezing. Right. So, thank you again. That was actually a very informative and resourceful session. I got to know a lot about tax and other that. And anyway, moving on. Next we have Suchita, who will be coming in, right? So go on, let's have the applause for Suchita as well. Right, she's the founder of Little Black Book Delhi. Hello, Suchita. But before we proceed, just one thing. Let's have 3 questions per speaker, and post the event is over, we will have a networking session so we can follow it up from there. Thanks.
Thank you. So it's not Little Black Book Delhi anymore, hasn't been for a while. It's Little Black Book. We're in 3 cities now, just launched Goa. Check us out. Cool, let's start. So I know it's a Friday evening and I don't want to bore you with, do this, do that, because, like Sunandu said, you guys are going to have to fuck up on your own and enjoy the ride, while it lasts. So I'm going to try making mine funny. People who know me know that I have a sense of humor that almost is, is similar to Jonah Hill's. So that basically means you guys are going to laugh a lot. Also, for some reason, I think maybe because it's cold, I use the panda a lot, so you'll, or maybe because of the song, but you'll see this pop up ever so often. So let's start with this, the previous one, with this image. This is actually why I started Little Black Book. No, jokes apart, and just to tell you a little bit about myself, I have a degree in economics, after which I worked with Wizcraft for a year. I was leading digital marketing and communication for the BBC for 2 years. I've been born and brought up in Delhi. I was earning really well as a 21-year-old at the BBC. I literally had no reason to want to quit my job. But honestly, I was just really bored of Delhi. I've done my high school here, I've done my college here, I've worked here my whole entire life. And I was actually just, very done with my idea of what the city was. I thought Delhi was boring and there wasn't really much to do. And it's actually this feeling of, boredom that led me to start my very own Tumblr blog that I called littleblackbookdelhi.com back in the day. And that's how LBB started, of course, as I'm sure most of you, oh, fuck. Yeah, so I think don't worry. So that's basically why Little Black Book started. I wanted to discover my city. I wanted to not be bored in my own city, and I wanted to be excited by my surroundings. Of course, as they say, as I was saying before, that very remarkable, dramatic moment, happened. As they say, the rest is history. We've grown from, being a Tumblr blog to being our country's fastest growing local recommendations platform that reaches out to over 15 lakh users every single month through our web and app. I just threw that there for effect. Next slide. When I started up, and again, I'll add a caveat here, I never ever wanted to start up. There's some people who have Steve Jobs t-shirts and, talk about Travis Kalanick like he's their best friend. I am definitely not one of those. I had no intention to start up, and the reason why you're seeing this image here is because when I quit my job at the BBC to work on Little Black Book full time, which was back in 2013, I used my own savings. So I had about 80,000 bucks that I'd saved, and I put that into into my startup called Little Black Book. And 50% of 80,000 rupees was spent on wall paint because I was again 22, naive, didn't really know what the hell I was doing. But I really believed in in my idea and where it could go. And we had basically moved into an office. And I didn't know how much wall paint costs because I've never really gotten my walls painted before myself. So I told the dude, I was all like, bhai, wall ko safed kar lo, नई company shuru ho rahi hai is office mein. And the next thing I know, he slaps me with a bill of like 40,000 bucks, which is half of my personal investment in my own company. So fuck up number one, never ever spend money in wall paint or anything that is as unnecessary as wall paint. Next one. This was me pretty much throughout 2013, 2014. Again, very confused panda. And just to give you some context, I had started up LBB Delhi, which is the only city we were present in 2013, was picking up really well. We guys were making money. We guys were probably were bootstrapped actually for 2 years. Enjoy that while it lasts, guys. So we were bootstrapped for 2 years. We were making money. The business was growing really slowly. There was me. There was a partner of mine who I had on board. And there were 5 interns, and we guys were just going along. For people who know me, they know that I am basically I love running, which means I love momentum, and I hate feeling like I am stuck. And for 2 years, that's all I felt, that I was stuck, that nothing was moving. In fact, it's not a very well-known fact, but I signed up for GMAT classes because I was just like, screw this. I'm gonna go to Harvard or some shit and be the douchebag I always wanted to be. And all of that happened, and I was genuinely just really confused about what I wanted to do and where I wanted to go. In fact, in this confusion, and the image comes in 2 slides later, I don't know how many of you guys know this, but Little Black Book at one point in time used to also be a tours and travel company. So just to make money, we guys used to take white people on really interesting tours of like Lodi Garden and this, that, or the other. So I basically have the history of Delhi in the back of my hand because of all the things that we had to do to make money. So similar to the points Sunandu brought up, we guys were just trying to do everything because we had this iteration of where our startup could be and what it could do. And essentially what that left me feeling was extremely confused. This, for me, is probably the only Steve Jobs quote I remember, which is "Don't settle." And I think a big fuck up that I made was I settled for mediocrity. I settled for not really knowing what I wanted to do and what I wanted to be. I settled for working with people who I thought were average at best. And also, most importantly, I settled for less. And in my opinion, that's the biggest fuck up any founder can make, no matter how big or small your enterprise is, whether it's funded, bootstrapped, or not. My urge to everyone over here is, which I'll come to later as well, is when you really want to do something, think of your best case scenario. Don't work according to the confines or the box that you think you may belong in. That was just not my white people, but some white people who are touring around Delhi. But this is an example of the kind of shit we guys had to do just to make sure that the company was up and running and we guys had money coming in. Now this is Kung Fu Panda, and it's Kung Fu Panda because this is where the good stuff starts. So similar to Sunando, I actually had a partner on Little Black Book who was someone who I had randomly met, and she expressed interest in wanting to be a part of LBB, and I was all like, what the hell, I'm 22, let's get on board and let's see where this goes. I was actually miserable for the 2 years when I was working with her because, again, like I said, it's not about the person. I think it's more about do you and that person have the right chemistry to take this startup forward. And throughout 2014, I was looking for a tech co-founder because I knew what we were doing right. I knew what the capabilities of Little Black Book as a platform were, but I knew I had to find the right people to make it happen. So towards the end of 2014, there was someone who's now our tech co-founder, Dhruv, who we guys were actually interacting with because he used to run a payment startup, and they were in the middle of a pivot, and I was looking for a tech co-founder. I'd actually worked with him on LBB. He used to help me out, with our back-end issues and server issues and this, that, or the other for about 2 years. And he was in the middle of a pivot. I was looking for a tech co-founder. I spent 3 months asking this, former partner to please get out of Little Black Book. And the next thing, he joined us because he believed in the brand, he believed in the product that we guys had created, and he also knew how we could use technology to scale the problem. And he joined us as our co-founder while we went to raise our seed round, which was early 2015. What also happened in 2015 was one of the most remarkable experiences of my life, where I'd gone to, you guys have heard of Y Combinator, I assume. So Y Combinator has this annual female founders conference, and some person who I know shared it with me, saying, you know what, you should apply for this, it'll be cool for you to attend. And I applied for the female founders conference, got invited to be at the female founders conference, and I caught a flight out to San Francisco to attend the conference. The reason why the conference was amazing was, the conference was great, but that happened. The reason why the conference was amazing was because I was introduced to one of our mentors, whose name's Mona Gandhi. She's one of the she's one of the first 15 employees of Airbnb, and I actually met her at the Airbnb office, and she loves she still does, but she met me and she's all like, I love what you do. And she told me about how Airbnb had scaled their company and how they'd grown. And meeting her was one of, the sort of like pivotal points as a part of Little Black Book journey, because what she has done for our company, she's single-handedly reminded us that we can be as big and awesome as we want to be. And the reason why I have this slide here is because the biggest fuck up, in my opinion, any founder can make is not having the right people, supporting them. That support could come in the form of a co-founder. And honestly, like I said, finding a great co-founder is really tough. It took me 3 years to stumble upon someone who I could believe in and who could believe in me. But more than your co-founder, it's people who you can learn from. The fuck up that I made was, I was 22 when I started. I should have surrounded myself with mentors. I should have surrounded myself with people who could help me learn instead of me making mistakes and learning from them. And that was my big takeaway from Kung Fu Panda slide. Next one. So let's fast forward. 2015, year's great. Everyone's like, yay, take my money, take my money. However, I have never fundraised before. I've never made a deck before. My Excel skills are horrible. And if you ask me to pitch, as you guys can tell right now, I speak really fast. So for the most part, no one can understand what I'm saying. Amazingly enough, my co-founder and I, we pitched to any investor we pitched to for our seed round, they all said yes. So the first person who actually said yes to us was a gentleman who you guys must have heard of, Rajan Anandan. And we met him at his house, and he said, yes, I want in. Then we met Sachin Bhatia, who's the ex-co-founder of, not ex-co-founder, co-founder of Make My Trip. And he said yes as well. And our seed round literally happened in like 3 weeks. So Dhruv and I were super confident. Our numbers had grown. Our revenue was great. For a startup that had just about raised $150,000. And we guys were getting ready for our pre-series A, which we thought would be a piece of cake because, again, like I said, we have that J curve that every startup sort of aspires to have from both the user front as well as the revenue front. However, we started pitching in December, which FYI is the worst month to pitch in. Never ever meet a VC in December. They are just generally like cold and non-panda-ish. And I think the big takeaway, for me was we got rejected by a couple of VCs when we had initially, gone out to pitch. And I was left, pretty underconfident because when you think you're doing well and when everything that you've put on a deck, makes you feel like you've checked all the right boxes, hearing a no sucks big time. And my biggest takeaway from, that whole experience of, not finding the right people, to be a part of the Little Black Book story, was that sometimes what reflects in your conversation with a VC is fear. It's fear that, you aren't sure of where you want to go, what you want to be, and how you want to see your company growing. And that is a fuck up I made, which is being fearful of my belief that our company could change the way the world lives and breathes and experiences their city. Of course, next slide. What happened as a follow-up to that was, we sort of rebooted. So we went to a couple of VCs, and they were just like, I don't know, maybe not right now. We rebooted, and we really thought about what is our pitch? What are we selling? And this is a feedback that this is something I learned from that whole experience, which is when you're meeting someone, don't sell them your reality, sell them your dream. And I think that was a fuck up that I made while through the first few attempts of raising our pre-series A, where what I kept talking about was, hey, this is who we are and this is what we're doing right now, but not really where we wanted to be and how big and amazing we thought our company could get. And therefore the dream catcher, which is when you're meeting people, and VCs are, the second, they aren't the most important people on the table. Whether you're meeting your users, you're meeting a stranger, you're meeting someone who doesn't know who you are or what you do, what needs to shine from you and your eyes and your heart and your soul is that you have this incredible belief that, your idea is valuable, to people at large. And that, has been a big takeaway from me. Next slide. So the good news is we did raise a pre-series A in June of this year when literally no startup was getting funded. We were in the market for $500,000 US. We ended up raising $1.2 million from IDG and Indian Angel Network. In typical startup fashion, when you have money in the bank, you think, what can I do with it? And the first thing that you really want to spend on is finding the right people. However, the big fuck up I made this year was we hired too many people thinking they were all right. And we hired them in a really, really short period of time. So the reason why I have a slide that says labels are for cans and not for people is because people told me, hire people from IIT, hire people from IIM. But the truth is, I have an undergraduate degree from perhaps one of the best colleges in Delhi, but I literally have nothing on my CV that says I make a good founder. And I think that's been my key takeaway, which is someone could come to you with the fanciest CV on this planet. They could have all the things that check the boxes, but that doesn't mean they're right for your company. And this is a mistake I made this year, which is, we sort of expanded our team because we really needed more hands on deck. However, we ended up hiring people who again, like I said, might have been really great on paper, but weren't the right fit for our team. We let go of a bunch of them, which, for any founder sucks. But I think in the grander scheme of things, we're back to being a team of really solid people who are bound by a mission and bound by core values and are growing that moving forward. And I think this is what I'm going to end this with. I don't know how much time I've taken, but I'm hoping it's not, it's not too much. This slide says, think big and listen to people, and don't listen to people who tell you it can't be done. Life's too short to think small. And this is, an advice that I'd give to all you guys is never ever take advice from anyone. But if you ever had to take any advice from me, it would probably be exactly this. I was, like I said, I was 22 when I started. I'm 26 now. I literally had everything stacked up against me. I was young. I had a degree in economics, which has nothing to do with startups. I didn't have an MBA from IIM, Ahmedabad, or Harvard, or whichever one of these schools. And at any given point in time, I felt like I was reminded of my inadequacies as opposed to, just being encouraged, which is what usually happens when you step into the big bad, not panda-filled world. However, what I would encourage all of you guys to do is, when push comes to shove, and when things really hit, when shit really hits the ceiling, the key thing that I'd hope all you guys remember is that you're not defined by the education that you may or may not have. You're not defined by the team you may or may not have. What you are defined by is the belief that, your belief in your startup and your belief that at the end of it all, when the dust settles, all of it will make sense. So while the dust is there, think big, dream big, and happy fucking up to all of us.
Questions? 3 questions. Quick answers?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Okay. Question, anyone? Come on. This is the only time you. Okay. All right. Also, is it cold? Yes. Can I feel it on my fresh, bald head? Absolutely. But come on, all of us have attended weddings in Delhi, right? In January. So yeah, we're used to this. Come on, guys. All right.
So hi.
Hi.
So can you just share your experience with the investors?
Why is that the question everyone asks?
Actually,
so
I have done with my all pro PPT and the financials.
Sorry?
And I am done with my all PPT and financials, and maybe a couple of months I'm looking for funding.
Yeah.
So I just want to know what are the main points I have to take with them.
So for me, like I said, the most important thing is, don't pitch your presentation. Has been my biggest, sort of takeaway. And I say that while having, Ishan, who's with Indian Angel Network, which is an investor in our company. I'm saying this in his presence as well, which is, don't pitch your deck. I don't think investors want to look at your deck. If they had to look at your deck, they won't be meeting you. And in the occasion that you do get a chance to, pitch to your investors in person, what you want to convince them is that your business will be a business, which is it is something that will make money and will add value. And if I were you, that's what I would focus on, and also hedge your bets. I think a mistake that we guys made was we met too many people. Honestly, it's a big waste of time because every investor, whether they say it or not, has their preferences. So, whatever space you're in, find investors who have an interest in that space and go after those guys first, get their feedback, and then take it from there. Also, sorry, last one. Raising money is not, walking into a meeting room and saying some random shit and someone will sign you a check. It's a lot of relationship building. So the most important thing with investors is, it's good to interact with them over a period of time because that'll help you realize whether they're the right investor for you or not. There've been a lot of people who I've met who are absolutely awesome. They're great investors. They're running, super successful VC funds, but I mean, they aren't the right fit for what we're trying to create. So that's important as well.
All right. Next up, do we have another question? Yes.
Hi, I'm Ruchi.
Hi.
Hi. So I just wanted to know, you talked about your fuck-ups.
Yeah.
I want to know what all motivates you to go beyond the fuck-ups and do what you are doing currently.
I think the biggest motivation is our team. This sounds like cheesy as fuck, but the biggest motivation is literally knowing that you have people who are betting on your mission as much as you are. And I think the second big motivation for us is like having advisors in the form of Mona Gandhi, Deepak Abbott, Rajiv Sathe, and Rajan Anandan. And knowing that you've got that support just makes it a lot easier for you to, rise from the ashes and then and sort of move forward. And also, I think the other good thing about starting up is you are working with the assumption that you're going to screw up. So, so when you screw up, you're like, oh, that had to happen. It's like that's a rule, not the anomaly. So, yeah, you find a way to get up.
Thank
Last
you,
one.
Suchita. We have last question from Mayank.
Amazing.
Hello, ma'am.
I can't hear you.
My question is, as a 23-year-old,
I'm actually 26 now. Okay. Okay.
if being 23, I'm talking about. What are the most important do's and don'ts that should be kept in mind before choosing the top 5 members of your team?
So the most important thing is define a mission and core values for yourself. I was actually taught this by our advisor Mona, who has sort of drilled into our head that your company must be very mission oriented. And there should be core values, which is basically the guiding principles that you define that you define as attributes for your company. So for instance, at LBB, our mission is to make your everyday awesome. And our core values are, hustle, everyday counts, be an owner, not a renter, value time, and there's one more that I obviously cannot remember. Yes, greatness is shared. And having these core values really helps because whenever you meet someone, we actually don't judge them on their CV. We judge them on, are they aligned with our core values? Are they someone who's going to hustle, when things aren't going the right way? Are they someone who's going to give credit to the whole team instead of just taking credit themselves? Are they someone who is going to respect and value time, of their team members? And as soon as someone checks those, of course, along with having the right skills, the job is theirs.
All right, guys, can you have a round of applause for Suchita? Thank you. So, guys, when I meant shadi, you didn't really have to be all serious about it and go on to the food stalls and just let's go for it. Let's respect the speakers. I know that you guys are hungry. I know that it's cold. Take your kachoris, come in, sit. I can see all of you. So, I'm not going to move ahead unless that area is clear. All of you guys, come on, guys. Sit. Take your kachoris and come on. You can find this guy at Fatehpur as well, just by the way. And we've got too many of these, so it's cool. Come on. Alright, I see a little more folks standing there for kachoris, eating them. I can see you. Come on, man. You know it. Yeah. Alright. Come on. Yes. Good job. Easy. Alright. So, filler time. Yes, I'm prepared now. Next we have Bharat, who is currently a founder at iDokerema. Before this, he was with Postigally. But before you go on and present your fuck up, I want to, talk about my small fuck up that I did. Why? Because I'm hosting it, so cheap thrills, I'll take advantage of it. So back in 2012, when I was 17, I had completed my school. And I wanted to start, so I wanted to buy posters, right? I'm a musician, I am a music enthusiast as well. So I wanted to get posters, but I couldn't find any. And the Palika setup wasn't there. So I with my friend, we started a company called Poster Fever. Yes, and we used to deliver posters in $100. That costed us about like 7 rupees. And I did this for about 3 months with my friend, where I was delivering it on my bike to folks. And I earned enough money to buy myself an electric guitar. 17,200 rupees. That was my cut after the 3-month stint. But I stopped doing it because I had to start with my graduation. And later on, I discovered Poster Gully, which was doing something like that. And it got acquired this year itself for an undisclosed amount of money, but you look well dressed, so it was a decent amount of money. So I was like, come on, man, like, So my point is never give up on your dream. I was 17. I didn't even know what co-founder and founder of a startup thing meant. But we were doing business. I was selling posters to folks I knew. So yeah, that. Are we ready? Flow over. Okay, another fellow. This guy came to me. He told me, bro, you need a good fellow. You could have gone ahead and said that tag 91springboard and Fuckup nights at your social media. That's a nice fellow. So, all the guys enjoying the kachoris at the back and the speakers in the front, please tag 91springboard and Fuckup nights on your Twitter handles and on your Facebook accounts as well. Okay, now I'm actually out of stories, guys. Fuck the system. Come on, play it. Okay. Sorted. We're ready? No, we're not. Oh, we are. All right, sorted. There you go, Bharat.
Great. So, very rarely have I ever done anything good in my life without fucking up with the system. So that's what the presentation is going to talk about. I'm not honestly very interested in talking about who I am, what I've done, last 5-6 years, building 3 companies, 1 shut down. And so not very interesting for me right now. I think I'm just simply going to talk about my moments, the moments that defined when I was building the company, the moments that pushed the entire company forward in taking very, very bold steps. Fucking up with the system was, I think, it was always in the back of our minds, and I think that's what really moved us ahead. So I'm just going to be talking about the moments, and some of you might relate to it and some of you might not relate to it. I'm happy to take questions after that. So this is the first fuck up, right? I got into really bad jobs straight out of college. This was 2011. I quit my first job in 4 days, the next one in 4 months, and the last one, I mean, I'm still in a job, but the job before I started up, that I stuck around for about 10 to 12 months. So, you see this, the normal behavior of how our brains sort of start deteriorating on the first day of our job, second day, third, and that's when I realized the job wasn't really bad. The managers were, the bosses and the people I was working were really not trying to do something substantial with their lives. They were very happy with the monotonous routine that they were following. So this was the team size. There was no team size, and I was 22 at that time, and this was one moment, and a lot of other moments that happened within this frame of 2 years, which really made me fail about starting up, which was not working with the right people. This happened a week after I started Postagali on June. In June, second week of June, in fact, 2012. I was traveling on a bus from my office. I was still in a job, and I started Postagali. I don't know what I was thinking. And I started an e-commerce company. I was working with the Aramixes and all the logistics company. And back then, the e-commerce was really fucked up. Trust me. Deliveries used to take at least, in normal pin codes in Delhi, in Bombay, it used to take about 2 to 3 days, and there was no real system in place. And I got into it, and I was handling customer support, and I had, and we really got into the grind, a week after it. And the good part was Postagali, really started to do very well from the first day itself. But this happened while I was traveling on a bus, and my laptop got stolen. I was so stupid to not have any backups of all the code that I had, all the outsourced services that I had. And while I was getting down, the laptop got stolen, and I got down and realized I did not have my back. And it was a week, and I had to dispatch orders. That night, I had to sit for the entire night and make the orders, pack the orders, go to my job the next day. And I had nothing on me, and I had no clue. And my laptop did not even have a password, so I was really fucked. And that was one moment where I saw everything come down in front of me. That night, I told myself, what am I really doing with my life? What do I really want? And I got a call from BCG at that time, and I was thinking, that night I said, let's just fuck it up. Let's just close everything down. I'll take this job and then see where it goes. That didn't happen. And this was one defining moment of my life when I started up. Then, the good part, I think, was that we really didn't know that, I didn't really know that I was starting up, and all the people that I was hiring also at that time, we didn't really know that we were starting up. For me, I did not know what VCs were. I did not know who, what a pivot means, what a customer sort of engagement means, what a product market fit means. It was all just, running a successful business, which means that you're doing something, you're filling a gap, and you're providing something of value to somebody. And this is a funny thing. We got to an accelerator after winning Conquest. Bits Pilani holds this startup challenge that I was pushed by a friend to join in, and we came as runners up there. And Hatch was one of the accelerators. Anand knows it very well. I know Anand from the days he was running it from Shahpur Jat, even before the Mohan Estate thing came up. But yeah, Hatch shut down month before they were agreed to give us 10 lakhs. And this was another defining moment because we were all prepared. I quit my job, and project was there, project was handling Hatch, and things were all very fine. The good part was Postagli was still working, doing very well. So we thought, okay, we'll take the money, although I did not really know anything at that time. So but we took we agreed to take the money, all the documents were done, and 1 week, or I think it was a week or 15 days or a month, I'm not too sure, but before they were agreed to pay us, they shut down, and I got a mail from project saying, Hatch is no more. Well, okay, this is cool. That also happened. Another defining moment, I think, all the team size, these things are gone. Anyways, we were about 5 people or 6 people at this time, and this is 2013 now. I was 23 at that time, and I still was very obsessed with operations, right? So I used to do everything on my own, micromanaging everything, not delegating. Everything was to be done the way I wanted to do it. I was processing orders one evening, and I was processing almost 300 orders every day, and I was working about 16, 17 hours a day. I was so stupid. It's so funny to think of it right now, of not even thinking about hiring somebody, right, like to do that, because I was so obsessed with just doing this. I cut my finger, and while packaging, right, I had this whole process. I was thinking I'm doing some master gimmicks of taking that tape and cutting my tube with it and all of that. And I cut my finger, and I started bleeding profuse, like really a lot, and then I fainted. My sister came running, and I was working out of my room, my terrace room at that time, and my sister came running, and she basically says, what's happening? And I fainted in front of her, and I remember that 10-15 seconds where she gave me something to drink, and I sat down on my couch, and another defining moment where I just told myself, either I'm doing this with people around me, or I'm not doing this anymore, because it got too much, right? 6-7 months, the grind was on, 300-400 orders a day. People started to believe that Postagli is this huge company now, but there was just 5 people, imagine. I was the one who was packaging orders on top of it. Interesting. This is the Diwali of 2014. We were about 8 to 10 people at this time. I was 24. And, we never really thought of raising capital because, we were doing so well. Our bottom line was close to about 50% of what we were doing. We were doing about $1 million that time. 8 people, imagine, sitting in an office in West Delhi. We were doing about $1 million in top line. And I thought to myself, no, I'll just continue to do it the way I'm doing it. Diwali evening, I got a call from a customer. Customer picks up the phone, and I was very happy going to the puja and all of that. Customer picks up the call and starts abusing me for a non-delivered order. And I got used to it because I was so self-obsessed with customer service. I did not really want to outsource this. Again, the same micromanagement sort of the behavior that I had. And then I lost it all. I shouted back at the customer, made sure that he realizes that it's his fucking fault. Got a great reply on Facebook, which went a little viral. The tweet was done by an artist himself, and who's one of the community members on a platform. And then he got all this viral thing into action. By the end of that Diwali night, I had about 100 tweets against Postagli. And that's the first time I really realized that tweets, no matter, nothing really makes or breaks your business. It's just you and the way you tackle it. So that's when I realized that I need to really build these segments, like the departments that I need to build in the company. The customer support team needs to be independent, and everybody cannot do everything. That's another defining moment where I took steps to, just look back at my life and how I was working to make sure that these processes are in place. This is 2014. I was 24 again, and this was the worst time of my life, honestly, because Postugly was growing. It started to gain a lot of traction organically, and we started to get a lot of investor interest at that time. Money was pouring in for e-commerce, again, after that 2-year sort of a hitch, and for vertical e-commerce companies. And that's when I started to say 10,000 poster gullies in the world. There were replicas of us all around us. There were people copying our artwork left, right, and center. The Flipkart sellers and the Snapdeal sellers started to copy everything that we were doing. They ran after our vendors, they ran after our artists. The big traditional business houses put their teams on making sure that art was, the affordable art bit, the story that Postugly built was being done by them, by putting a lot of money. And that's when we realized that, okay, that's another defining moment, because one night I was just sitting and I was thinking, either we're going to go all in now, which whatever money we have in terms of marketing, or we're going to raise capital, or we're just going to shut down. Because of, as an entrepreneur, there's some hypothesis, that you start with. There's some emotions that you start with, and, they really grow onto you. And originality and affordability were our strong points, which is something that we really stood by. And that's when we started to go after all of these folks who were replicating us, give them legal notices, cease and desist notices, made sure that Postugly is remembered for this thing, even if we survive or fail, by spending a lot of money into this. We spent a lot of money in going after these people, basically. And we did a lot of other hacks, basically, which wouldn't be too good to talk right now. We were about 15 people again. Fuck society. I am sure a lot of you will realize this. This is again one of the moments, we were about 15 people at this time, and this is 2014. My closest cousin's marriage, I did not attend. And that's when, shit really started to hit the ceiling, where I was thinking, that society is really not going to help you in achieving your dreams. You really have to detach yourself. But at the same time, my health started to sort of deteriorate. I was an athlete. I was an under-18 football player, and I started to grow fat. And I used to look at myself and say, what am I doing? So that's when I took a step back and really strategized even my relationships. Who do I want to meet? How much time do I want to spend with somebody, etc., etc. We were about 20 people. This is 2014. This is GUSF, December 2014. GUSF is this Google Online Shopping Festival that used to happen. And we ran some crazy deals, and it was a 3-day festival, and the first day we clocked about $10,000 orders, and the preceding 2 days we shut down all the deals because we knew we'd overshot ourselves by at least 3,000 to 4,000% that time. We were not prepared to handle that kind of shit. And that's the situation that was in office. About 15 days after this event, till about December 31st, I remember, we got new machinery, we got new people, we really expanded our own horizons. We were working 24 hours a day, the machines were on, the tech really got strong, and we really automated everything. And this was another defining moment that everybody at that time in the company really felt for. That's the time you could really see who's in it and who's out. So, very interesting time for us back then. We were about 27 people. The most interesting time for me in my time running Postugly, I'm sitting right in front of my, right across the bay, and we were about 27 people. I was sitting right in the corner. It's an open. Used to be an open office. That's when I did away with open offices also. But it's early morning, and about I think 10:30 or so, 10:30, the office just started, and I heard some loud bangs. I turned around and saw 2 people fighting, and I had hired them a month back. And they were not just fighting; they were abusing and like hitting each other. And they were 2 people I hired from the best engineering colleges, 10 years apart. One guy was really senior. I got it from Google, and the other guy just finished college. Like he was 10 years younger to him, and they were beating each other and abusing each other in office. That's not a good sight to watch, founders. That's the worst sight for you to see at any point of time in your life. That's where your world crashes down. The situation got handled. Both of them were kicked out the next month. And the same day, I found somebody internally sharing our IP, which is the artwork that we have in high resolution, with another competitor. That's a defining moment for me, because that's where I realized that the people who work for you, who work with you, whatever the case might be, every company has these layers of people, right? Everybody cannot be a tenor, and you have to just accept it. Everybody cannot have the same intensity as you, your co-founder, or your early employees do. And that's where you draw the line. And that's where everybody cannot sit with lunches together. Everybody cannot do the same thing. And that's where you just draw the line. And that's where I started drawing the line. We did away with open offices. After that, the next office we got, this was the third office that we had. We were about 27 people at this time. So very interesting dynamics, how the team works. Got to learn a lot after that. Went into office like a butcher, not like just emotionally, but very practically. You really have to keep your heart at home as a founder when you go home in a growth stage company, which is largely being bootstrapped. Can you guess who's this person? No, it's a VC. Anyways, we are about 45 people at this time. This is 2015 November. December, as Suchita said, it was the worst time to ever go fundraising in the history of times that I know fundraising. And we started fundraising that time again. And we are looking for about 3 to 5 mil. This was a Series A, and we had commitments, and we knew that we were going to follow on, we were going to get them. We were very confident up. I mean, our metrics were, for a vertical e-commerce company, they were exceptional. Not to underplay anything here. And I was 25, and this was the 4th office that we moved into in September. So November, aside fundraising, and we were about 45 people at this time. This is where the really, the entire darkness in your entire, entrepreneurial journey comes into the picture. I was